Welcome, everybody. Today is the 24th of April, and we're doing Women Healing Women webinar. I did a similar webinar yesterday morning, so hopefully when you get this recording, you'll get the other one too. And before you don't listen to both, I really recommend you listen to both because my aim is to teach different processes today than I taught yesterday. So the beginning part will be the same, just FYI. So if you want to fast forward through that, I respect that. But let's just start. Just go ahead and close your eyes. And once your eyes are closed, just find your breathing. With your eyes closed, see if you can drop the gaze inside. And just notice what you notice. See if you can hear the sound of your breath. See if you can hear the sound of your heartbeat. See if you can perceive how your body feels right now. See if you can actually slow down and extend the breaths. See if you can create a pause between the inhales and exhales. And now see if you can make the exhales a little bit longer. And notice what's happening with your mind. Being one with the cadence of your breath. Slow breath in. Long breath out. Deep breath in. Soft breath. And notice if the mind is a little quieter or a little louder. Without judgment, simply awareness. As the breath deepens, feel your body in the chair. Feel your head and neck over your spine. And just notice the ease of dropping in. After 6 more of those slow, deep, conscious breaths, become aware of where your body is on the chair. Become aware of your fingers and your toes. When you feel ready, gently come back into your room, opening your eyes when you're ready. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So today we are launching the Women Healing Women webinar, and I have to tell you, I'm super excited to launch this. Women Healing Webinar is a really big passion for mine, and it's kind of erupted over the last few months, and you'll see where I'm coming from in a second. But I want to hit up the what's it called? The PowerPoint. So let me just pull that up first and figure out how to do this. I had to figure it out right before the class started. There we go. That's a PowerPoint. And I should be able to see it. You guys should see that, right? You guys see that okay? I'm assuming yes. Yes, you're seeing it? Yes. I can still see if you guys type in, but I'm assuming you guys see it. So, Woman Healing Woman, I've called a movement, and you'll see where I'm going to go with this in a second. First question that I'm going to ask you guys is, why am I starting this now? As women, whether we like it or not, we are still very much underpaid, very much. We also have higher health issues than men. We live in more chronic fear than men, in a different way than men. And we struggle with our own authenticity as to who we are. And as most of us know, this has been going on for millions and millions and millions of years. So we don't really realize what's deep in our unconscious, and we just see it as perfectly normal. We don't question it. We don't think about it. And this program is all about us thinking about it. And the question is, why am I doing this now? What you may or may not know, but COVID represented the shift from patriarchy to more balance. And COVID was just what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I'm terrible with time. And if you think about it, what happened with COVID? More of us worked from home. People switched careers to something they actually really love to do. Some people quit their 9-to-5 corporate role. And how we create money, how we create joy, how we create freedom, everything is changing. I wrote here that the old push to make money is not working anymore. And a lot of people are realizing that. And this rise of the feminine, the balance of the healing, we're being asked to now. And as you probably know, the Dalai Lama says, the world will be saved by Western women. And a question that I ask, as you see it comes on the slide I've written twice, is, are you ready? And it's not about me pushing this down anyone's throat, but there is a point in our emotional, mental, spiritual development that we are ready to change this. We are ready to no longer see ourselves as less than. We are willing to look at our patterns of thoughts. We are willing to give up our guilt. We are ready to let go of the burden. And I can't determine when you're ready. Only you can. And if you're ready, that's what this program is all about. So I'll ask you many times through this webinar series, are you ready? And only you can answer that question. So I want to share a little bit of my own experience. Last September, when my son moved out to university, some of you know I have a 19-year-old son who's amazing. And he moved out to university. And you may also know that I've worked as an intuitive coach for about 14, 15 years. If you're a mom, you date everything by the age of your child. So that's what I do, at least. And so I started my coaching business when he was 5. He's 19 now, so about 14 years ago. And I started part-time, and I moved into full-time about 7 or 8 years ago. And at a certain point in my coaching business, I had a very long wait list, close to 2 years. And I wasn't seeing new people for the last few years of my coaching business at all. I would just take drop-ins. And the reason I was so busy is because the intuition works, the energy works, and word of mouth worked. And then in September, when my son moved out, my guides really got mad at me. They didn't get mad at me. They just said, you have to teach more. And I was like, great. And if you're listening to Jody and I at the beginning, I have been teaching a fair amount, maybe a little bit too much, but it just so happened the last 2 or 3 days I've been teaching a lot, just the way it worked out, along with the full moon, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes. And since January, I have taught about 2 workshops a month, a minimum, and that works out to more than 6. I wrote 6 on the screen, but it's probably closer to 8 or 10. And I want you to know the pattern I've seen. A pattern that I have seen, and if you've ever been to my workshops live or online, I actually don't show up with an agenda. I show up with whatever spirit wants to channel through me and what wants to come through in the group. And that's why people come, because they can come with anything and I can deal with it. Well, the guides deal with it. And the common theme to every single one of my workshops, including Mexico, was about healing this patriarchy conversation. That was for both men and women, because it impacts us both. Okay. And because this kept happening since January, like when I say it kept happening, I mean it kept happening. It almost to the point that it drove me crazy. Like I was like, really? Again, we're gonna go here again? And it was like, wow, I was actually kind of, to be honest, a bit mind boggled that it was the same pattern. And after about the 5th or 6th time, I started scratching my head going, this is the same pattern. This is very strange. And then I started to look at it going, what's the universe screaming at me? Like they're trying to yell at me something in my ear. They're getting me to teach twice a month minimum. That's not including online. That's just live events here in Vancouver. People keep showing up and the same damn theme keeps showing up. What is this? And I know it's me too. Don't get me wrong. I know that. But then when I started talking about this, but women healing women on a platform and in my podcast, I had a lot of people saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then when I brought A Course in Miracles teaching to my live workshops, people were shifting very quickly. So I was like, whoa, what the hell's happening? That's all what the preamble of what happened as to why this program got started. So I've had a wild ride since January, wilder than I expected. Even so, I didn't actually, and we're going to jump into the full moon for a second, and I'll come back to my presentation in a minute here. But I basically planned my events usually about a month ahead. And I got off my trip right before I went to Mexico, about one of my events, I think it was in March, I was in Kelowna teaching an event. And there was a woman who came to my event in Kelowna that was just like a part like a half day event or a couple hours. And she loved it. She laughed because like, I love this. And I said, well, come back for my full day, which is tomorrow. She's like, I can't, I've got such and such with my kids. I'm like, cool, no big deal. And she goes, I want you to come to my house. And I said, all right. Anyways, so she fired me a message in between my Vancouver workshop and me hopping on a plane to Kelowna. And there was like a 3-day gap in there. And she said, come to my house in those 3 days. I'm like, are you crazy? I just finished a 2-day event. I have a 2-day break. Then I got to go to Mexico. Like, there's no way. I'm not getting in my car, driving to West Vancouver, teaching 20 people, and then getting on a plane. It's just too much energy for me. She totally understood. She said, okay, we'll do it after Mexico. Got off the plane from Mexico. I'm organizing my schedule for April, May, and June, trying to at least. And I fire her a text, and this was 6 days ago. She goes, come to my house on Tuesday. I'm like, and I had nothing last night. So I'm like, okay. So I booked last night with her, forgetting I had yesterday morning with this webinar, forgetting I had my transformation container, and forgetting I had this tonight. So I had 4 classes in 2 days, which is a lot, plus the full moon last night. And then I looked at it and I went, oh my F-U-C-K, I have 2 classes on a full moon. This will be interesting. And it was. And I woke up with an acne spot that was bleeding. I'm like, seriously? So let's talk about the full moon for a minute. Then I'll go back to the webinar format. So what happened to you during the full moon? Type it into the chat box or say it out loud. What was your experience? The full moon, guys, just if you didn't know, was yesterday. And it was a pink moon. And most people experience the full moon 2 or 3 days ahead. So you may have been feeling unrest from, say, Saturday, Sunday on, and you may still be experiencing now. It will usually last until about Thursday or Friday of this week. So type into the chat box, what did you experience from the full moon? A bunch of you said yes. So tell me what happened. Were you on the verge of divorce? What happened? I was. So what happened? Too bad it doesn't take 1 second to get divorced. That's a joke. That's a joke. What did you experience? Chat box or say it out loud. How did the full moon impact you? And then I'll speak about it, how it relates to women healing women after I hear from you guys. You'll see where I'm going to go with this in a sec. And I have this new appendage that I wear. Okay, leading up to it, Angie wrote, I felt very out of sorts. Sharon wrote, I felt a lot of anger, and I'm going to say I assume that means screaming. Yes, okay. Underlying anger about all kinds of things, says Jody. Clarity around my trust. Beautiful. So there's 2 Sharons on the call. So perfect. Madeline wrote, today, a bunch of old feelings and challenges came up. Feelings of not being good enough, fear, unrest, very out of sorts. Ready to really surrender, writes Francis. Insomnia, writes Darlene. Yeah, you guys had the full moon. So this full moon was apparently the full moon in Scorpio. And apparently what it's about is a lot of what Denise just wrote, short-tempered, but not taking any shit. So what I want to, you guys, and if you looked at my social media posts, you may have read this. What this full moon represented, and I hope this makes sense, Madeline, is it's everything that you've been hiding under the carpet. So all the fears that you've been ignoring, all the people pleasing that we're just doing, all of the anger that we're suppressing, all the stuff we're just ignoring. And this directly relates to women healing women, because it directly connects to men and women, but how we suppress our feelings. And it really was about bringing it to the surface so it's not suppressed anymore. Bringing our authenticity to the surface because we have forgotten it. Bringing our rage to the surface because we've ignored it. Bringing our clarity of who we want to be to the surface. So those old feelings, Maddie, that came up, Those feelings around finally trusting, the feelings around screaming are all part of it. Okay. It's all to unearth what you've been ignoring. Got it? And as you may or may not know this, we are beings of energy. The moon is an energy. They're planetary consciousness. When they come in contact, you're going to feel it. Just like if I walk into the grocery store and someone's having a bad day, I will feel it. Okay. We are energy. So even if it sounds a bit woo and crazy, we are energy. But the full moon was all about drudging up the pain that we're ignoring. Got it? The pain we are dismissing. The sadness we're hiding. And you're going to see the connection with the WHW class in just a minute here. And so literally when I saw that I booked the first webinar on the day of the full moon, I taught 20 people last night, 17 were women. I taught Transformation Container this morning. I'm teaching you guys today, all in the full moon energy. It totally makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, when you hear more of the webinar content, it will make sense. A couple of rules about my events. Most of you know these rules. Number one, if I go get a coffee, I'm going to pull out my wallet. I use dollars. People come to my events because they want self-development. The cash for self-development is vulnerability. So if you want to get something from today's webinar, be vulnerable. Okay? Just like if you want a coffee. It is the currency. The more vulnerable you can be, the more you're going to get out of this. Cool? But in order to be vulnerable, we have to respect each other's privacy, which is why I record it first off like this. So people who are listening to the recording don't know it's you. Okay? But the thing about vulnerability is we all have to make a pact right now that when you leave this webinar, you're not going to share what you heard about from somebody else. Is that cool? It's a rule of Vegas, I always say. Cool. Because that way, Sharon feels vulnerable to share whatever Angie shares. If you're dying to share what Darlene says when you leave the room, you just say, I heard on this class, blah, blah, blah. But you don't need names. Cool. So if everybody's got that pact, especially when it comes to the Q&A and your interactions, what I noticed in yesterday's webinar, people were sharing things and it was really impacting me in a very impactful way. And I was like, wow, I feel that I've never thought of that. Wow, I didn't know that in my psyche. Because our unconscious as women is full of all kinds of crazy crap. And when I got the hit to run this class, I was going to include men, but they said, do the first one just for women. Because first off, it'll be a safer container for them. They will understand each other's issues more. But when it comes to like the deeper healing, if you ever come to a 4-day retreat of mine or do the coaching program around this, men will be included because again, my guides have pushed me since January. Like when I say push, I mean like pushed, okay, from behind. They're like, go. And so it's been a lot is all I can say. And a lot of you guys have known me for years and it's been a lot, which is fine. I can handle it. And one thing I want to share with you that happened in Mexico. So we had 18 people in Mexico. About 40% were men. And if you look at the pictures, very attractive men. 40% were men and 60% were women. Okay. And one of my assistants who does my admin stuff, she was looking at the pictures. She's like, did you have the crew of good looking? Like, what the hell? We had all these models. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're good looking people. Didn't think anything of it. But we did these exercises that again, my guides were pushing me because I did. It's not that I don't know what I'm doing, but the guides run my entire events. Okay, they run every retreat, every workshop I run. It is theirs. I just show up. So there's one exercise we did that I've never done before. And most of the exercise I've never done before. And we did this exercise where women or men who were asked to stand up who didn't trust men. Okay, so I had about 10 people standing up, okay, in a horizontal row. And then I had them do this exercise as to how far their wall up to men is. Like, is it 2 feet, is it 100 feet, is it 200 feet, and so on. Okay. And then the guides would come in, and you're going to do some of those exercises today, and they would take down that wall, and then we did some energetic work and move the wall or whatever else. And by the time the wall was gone, the other men who didn't have the wall, weren't standing in line, came into the room. And then the people who had the walls up, they were gone. It was wild to witness. So my point being of where I'm going with this, because this is called Women Healing Women, and the 8-week class is Women Healing Women. But then past that, men will be involved, because for us to heal our shit on a deeper level, we need to bring men in. We need to have our unconscious first. And then we need to do it in a relationship with men so we know that it's gone. Got it? Because we can do it in a cocoon in a cave, but we don't know it's gone until we interact with them. And I want you to know, when I had the people sign up as to how many people have issues with men, 10 people stood up, 8 were women, 2 were men. Okay? So men aren't in this class or in this container on purpose for a little while, but eventually they will be here. Not because I'm not afraid to teach them, but they just have a different psyche. So in class today, I really want you to dig into what you're taught. Got it? I want you to dig into what thoughts and beliefs. And when I pull up the PowerPoint in just a second, I asked 2 questions yesterday, and I'm not going to repeat them because you can watch the recording from yesterday. The 2 questions I asked today, if I remember, was what were you taught? First one was what were you taught around being a woman? And a lot of the answers were like, I'm less than, I'm not enough, and so on. And the second question I asked was around guilt. I think those were the 2. I think, but I could be dead wrong. But I'm going to do 2 very different ones today. Is that cool? Just so that when you watch the replay, you'll have 2 different experiences. So therefore you'll have 4 experiences. Cool. Okay. And feel free to write comments or questions in there before I keep going. Okay, just make sure we're good. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's just go back to the PowerPoint. You'll see where I'm going next. One second, guys. No, that's not it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Not as techy. Okay. So one thing I should say, the webinar is introductory. I have about 60 minutes left with you guys, which will fly by. And I'm happy to stay longer. Yesterday, they could have stayed, we stayed about 70 or 80 minutes. It's introductory, and I'm going to do my best. Because what I've discovered in these last 7 or 8 workshops I've run in person and online is it's like an onion. When we cut one layer of the onion, there's like 20 more layers. And personally, I've been in shock as to how many thin layers in that unconscious exists for us as women that impacts us more than we realize. And so we're going to try to tap into as deep as I can. But like I wrote in the very bottom line, these inherited patterns have been running us for millions of years. Millions. And the reason I've got an 8-week class set up is because I can do the best I can do in the next hour. But I want you to know that once I start digging, there's going to be more stuff there. Trust me. Okay. So let's just see if I can hit the next slide. Oh, there we go. But this is the key. We are supported. Okay. I'm going to introduce the Divine Mother. If you've been to one of my workshops, I know Sharon, you came recently. I work with her a lot. You're going to meet her in just a minute. So the Divine Mother is an energy that helps me in all of my workshops live lately. Well, period. And she is going to support us and heal us in the webinar. So let's go into meditation. Close your eyes. Drop in. And Madeline, I think you were there as well, and we worked with her. Go and close your eyes. Once your eyes are closed, just go back into meditation. Take a long breath in. And take a slow breath out. Take a deep breath in. Take a soft breath out. Just breathe. With your eyes closed, listen to the breath again. Listen to your heartbeat again. As we breathe. Listen to the essence of your truth. Knowing or perceiving that there's a soul or spirit. The divine consciousness I am that is breathing you. As you're meditating, I'm going to say 3 lines from A Course in Miracles. That's actually how ACIM begins. Keep meditating, keep listening to your breath. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. Right now, you are breathing and in consciousness with your essence. This place you are in right now cannot be threatened. This is the only real thing. Your essence, your truth, your divinity. Just breathe here. On your next breath, take yourself into a beautiful place in nature. This may be a place you visit often, a place from fairy tales, or a place in your own home. The most important thing about this place is that you feel safe and comfortable. Comfortable and safe. And breathe here. Let's breathe. Begin to notice everything about this place that makes it feel safe and comfortable. Notice the colors. Smell the aromas. Feel the ground as it touches your feet. In your safe and comfortable place. As you breathe. Now, out of the corner of your eye, there is someone or something or some energy there. There is nothing scary about this experience. This is your divine support team, your guides, your angels, your ancestors. The energies of love that are here to support you through this journey called life. As you breathe. Now, one of the energies steps forward for each of you. And this is what we call the Divine Mother. And for each of you, we'll see, perceive, sense her differently. But I will describe what I see and let your own imagination, your own visuals be your own. Right now, she's standing in front of you, and she's taller than the building you're in. The energy of clarity, beauty of light, the force of her power stands directly in front of you. To me, she is a majestic energy of light and of strength. And she simply placed her hand on your heart for you to know that she has always been with you. And she takes a step closer so you can really feel her strength and her essence and her goddess grace. And all you have to do is breathe. Your mind might think you're making it up. But all I want you to do is breathe. In and out. Feel her. See her. And just be with her. One of her hand is on your heart, and the other one is on your third eye. as she just looks at you in your grace and in your beauty. And she is transmitting to you your strength, your knowing, your truth of who you are. And while she is holding you, I want you to imagine that there are roots going from the center of your feet into the middle of the earth. And any fears or apprehensions you have of this are leaving your feet, the roots, and coming up the roots is pure love and pure stability. So just stay here for 10 breaths. And feel that strength, feel that peace. And then she put the hand from the third eye onto your upper back. So now her hand is on your heart, one of her other hands on your back, and she says, it is safe. It is safe, it is safe, it is safe, it is safe. Let me in as you breathe. And only you can decide if you are to let her power, her force, her love, her wisdom in. There, you just hold that. Beautiful. Just keep holding that. Take about 10 breaths here. Slow and deep. Calm and easy. Fluid and relaxed. Keep working with her. Now, some of you will want to stay here. When you feel like you are complete, take a moment to thank her. Feel your physical body and your mental body. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back. Feel free to stay there longer if you want, but we will return to her. Don't worry, we're going back to her in a few minutes. So as you come back, no rush at all, but take a moment and just come back into your body. No rush, please don't rush. And just type into the chat box for yourself and everybody else. What was your experience? This will help the listeners who aren't here live. This will help you in your own reflection. What happened? What did you feel? Even if you think you're making it up, what happened? I felt supported. I felt peace. Feeling supported is an incredible thing. Give it a minute and see if anyone else wants to share anything that they felt or experienced. I felt my true self. Wow, Madeline. I felt deep peacefulness. Beautiful. And it's not that we don't know who she is. It's not that she disappeared with patriarchy, but our mothers never enveloped her. So we never enveloped her. Frances wrote, I felt my left foot and ankle buzzing. I'm pretty sure Frances is right-handed, so that means the left side of her body is the feminine. Her left foot and left ankle, so the left side of her feminine side, with her foot and ankle were buzzing. And I still have a hard time letting her in. Don't worry, Frances, we're going to keep working with her, so don't worry. Anna says she felt honored. And you wrote she felt validated. And Sharon felt nauseous. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Jody wrote she felt a peacefulness and a gratitude and a bit badly for not greeting her more often. Oh, sweetheart, let that guilt go, bullshit, go, go, go. You know what, yesterday's, I love you. No more guilt. That's the dark side of the feminine, the guilt, I did it wrong. I love you. Sharon wrote she's safe and angry at the same time. And just so you guys know, there's two different Sharons. That's beautiful. So the Divine Mother has many, many faces, as most of you probably know. And I tend to lead into the feminine, the Hindu goddesses. And you don't have to know any of their names, just so you know. But the anger that some of you wrote about is more the goddess Kali. And the anger is there because we have forgotten who we are, and we guilt ourselves out like Jody did. I love you, Jody. And the empowerment and the honor. And this is the true Divine Mother. And it's not that she disappeared when patriarchy started, but she said to me that she took a side. If the globe was here, she stood on the side. She's been here the whole time. But the thing about our guides, and especially for some of you who have done ICT with me, the Intuitive Coach Training Program I used to teach, one thing we used to teach clients, and I used to teach that, is our guide, because of something called free will, if this is my guide, because of free will, they will not come in unless I ask. So if we are afraid of being in the feminine and we don't even know the Divine Mother exists, she can't force her way in. We have to ask her to come in. And when we understand patriarchy, and we understand the depths and the origin of it, it was the fear of the feminine. And we have to understand that the reason there was the fear of the feminine, we all take this for granted. I said this in yesterday's class too. We all take it for granted, but I'm begging you not to. We take for granted that almost every woman on this call, not everybody, and it doesn't matter if you've had it done or not, because it does not matter. If you've had a child, 10 fingers and 10 toes came out of your effing body, and a brain and a head and a nose and a tongue. Your body made that. There is something about the feminine that has been suppressed. And it breaks my heart when I think about that. We have suppressed that energy of Shakti. So Shiva is the energy that's called the placeholder. So there's two parts of manifestation. One is a placeholder. I'm going to do X. That's Shiva. I'm going to make $1 million. And what patriarchy did was it was like, then you go make $1 million. But true manifestation is the Shiva or the masculine says, I'm going to make $1 million. And then the feminine allows the $1 million in. And because of patriarchy, the feminine went over here. And to allow true manifestation to occur, we have to let the Shakti back in. We have to honor the Divine Mother. And the biggest thing as women we have to do is we have to hear the bullshit that's in our minds that we have been taught that doesn't let the Divine Mother in. Because men, if you all know men, because when I teach this class, I want you to know I am equally man as I am woman, and my husband's equally woman as he is man. But women have more of that natural predominance to go to the feminine because we're born physiologically. And just like a man can easily go to the masculine. Does that make sense to your brain? But so can we. But if we don't work with the Divine Mother to heal the wounds that we have, especially as women, Divine Mother cannot enter because of free will. So the Women Healing Woman workshops that I'm teaching are all about deeply analyzing the bullshit that we have been taught that blocks the feminine, that blocks that woman energy. Got it? And I could have men in this call. I want you to know that. But for whatever reason, my guides were very strict. This first one is only Women Healing Women. I was like, okay, which if anyone knows me is a bit weird because in any class I teach, if you look at my coaching business, I had about 40% men. So when they said you're only teaching a woman class, I was like, what? But okay, I get it. That's what you want me to do. And then when they showed me in Mexico and in other retreats I've done up here, the masculine is necessary once the woman is ready to work. But I have to learn first how to work with a lot of the unconscious patterns and help women. And then when I go back into my live workshops, teaching on the 5th again of May, then it gets easier because I can see those patterns a lot clearer. So let's dive in a little bit more. Any comments, questions before I keep going? You guys are good? Okay, cool. Let's go back into the PowerPoint. Give me just 20 seconds. Let me pull it up here. Here it is. Okay, go. So we met the Divine Mother. She's going to do the rest of the work for us. I don't have to do anything, which is so cool. Okay, let's just see if I can get this to move. Okay, where is it? 1 second, guys. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so I did this one yesterday. So this one I'm not teaching again today. So basically, look at that first line. What are you taught that's sitting in your head as a woman? I taught on the webinar yesterday. What does it mean to be a woman? So I'm scrapping that one, okay, because we did that yesterday. And then we did guilt yesterday. You can listen to that replay. What was that? So we're going to come back to people pleasing, but we're going to do this one first. The God of validation. Let me speak what I mean by that. So in Course in Miracles, they talk about not praying to idol gods. Okay. And it took me a long time to really understand this, but this might sound really weird. In your thought processes, you can have a thought process that's praying to the God of depression. Okay. So, the thoughts that are God of depression are, I don't count, I don't matter, I'm a loser. That's God of depression. Okay. Now, what are your conscious, and I'll start you guys off in a second. What are your conscious, subconscious thoughts that are praying to the God of validation? So I'm going to give you an example from the woman healing woman. If I'm not a size 2, there's something wrong with me. My body has to look a certain way to be valid. I have to have a job and make money, or I have to make babies to validate. So guys, type them into the chat box. I can keep going, but I want you to search your unconscious and subconscious. If there's something wrong with my kid, it's my fault. So what is in, I can keep going, but they're like, stop talking, let them go. What is in your conscious and subconscious that's in the woman mindset that feeds into the God of validation? I'm validated if, as a woman, fill in the blanks. I'm validated if I have long hair. I'm making that up. I'm totally making that up. I'm validated if I'm pretty. Oh, Afton. Oh, Afton. Oh, that is a really good one. And the reason I want this is because I never would have thought of that one. Okay. Afton hit it right out of she did a home run right from the get-go. If everyone likes me. Big one. It's a really big one. Oh, Denise, if I take care of everyone, because that's my job. Because then I'm valid. Because then having a vagina, then I'm valid, right? I've done a good job. I took care of you, right? That's what we're taught. What else were you guys taught? It's up to me to look after everyone's needs, because it's almost like validating your existence, Jody, on the planet. Because heaven forbid you're a woman, right? And guys, the reason I'm having you go here is because most men aren't taught that. Men have other shit from patriarchy. Like, I have to make money or there's something wrong with me. Does that make sense? Or I have to take care, and if my house gets broken into, I'm bad. Do you see what I'm saying? So we want to pull out the woman stuff, and these are really powerful. Everyone liking me is still hitting me over the head. If I'm perfect in every aspect, and I want you to write down in your journal which ones apply to you. If I'm perfect in every aspect, Francis, that's so good. Oh, Madeline, oh my God, so good. If I'm quiet, can you guys relate to these? I have to be quiet. I can't be heard. What is it? I can't be seen, I can't be heard, whatever that expression is, right? So like, what else do you guys got? I know there's more. What else were we taught for validation? God of validation. Oh, that is a good one. If I'm emotionless, because heaven forbid I have emotions. If I have a period, right? Oh my God, heaven, because then there's something wrong with me. I am seen, I'm not heard. Exactly. If I'm seen, I have to look pretty, because then I'm valid, right? And I have to fit into Lululemon clothes, right? Because then I'm valid. What else? What else validates our existence? If I have more than one child, if I have a son, right? That's for my culture, but not just my culture. What else do you got? Ooh, Afton, if I am nice, because heaven forbid I'd be a bitch. Heaven forbid I cry and bark, right? Because I'm not allowed to do that. I'm a woman, right? Men, they can bark at a car passing them, but not a woman, right? I gotta smile. You cut me off for traffic? Oh, this is good, Jody. My kids reflect whether I'm a good mother. Doesn't reflect. I typically have not seen that with fathers, right? If I'm a good mother, my kids are a reflection of that. That is so good. Or if I'm a good person, wow. If I behave appropriately, I know, oh my God, if I behave appropriately versus a man, and guys, I do not dish man. I have a man, a husband, and I have a son, and I love them to death. But I'm going into the woman's psyche back here. Ina said, you hit it. If I behave appropriately, it's inappropriate if I yell. If a man yells, no big deal, right? It's inappropriate. I'm looking for validation from culture because I'm inappropriate if I don't behave properly. Being married, having children, you hit it right in the head, Sharon, because we're not valid. There was something wrong with us. And you know what's really interesting when it comes to fertility? Who do they always look at? If I'm infertile, who do they look at? The woman. Right? They never think of the man. Ever. That's gotta be the woman's fault. Something wrong with her, right? Can you guys relate to this? It's ridiculous. And there's always something wrong with her. God, so we're just digging. But don't worry, guys, we're digging this shit out so the Divine Mother can clean it up. All of the above writes the other Sharon. That's so good. Denise writes, I can do it all, work, take care of the kids and the house. Yeah. So I'm not valid if I haven't worked hard, if I haven't taken care of the kids. And I'll give you guys a few more that I was taught. I'm unearthing this part of my brain that is anxious. And I'm realizing that it's because if I look at me versus my brother, he doesn't have it. Because I was constantly validating my existence as a woman. So I had to overwork, overprove, make sure the house was clean, make sure the kitchen was set, make sure the table was done, make sure the dishes were washed, because I would validate that they had another girl. Anything else you guys want to share when you think of God of validation? What are we taught as women? We're valid if we take our kids to church. We're valid if we've got church running kids, right? Is that a big one? My kids go to temple or go to church, then you're a good mom, right? You're a good wife if your husband is not having an affair. If he's having an affair, it's your fault because you're not putting out. Sorry, guys, for being so frank and so crass, but I need to be crass because it's bullshit we're taught. If you don't spread your legs, the girl down the street will. I'm being crass and I apologize, but that's what we're taught. Yeah, you guys, tell me you guys were taught that stuff because I know I was. If we look like a woman to do, if we look like women do in People magazine, so I've got to look like a woman in the magazines. Is that right? Yeah, totally. The Sports Illustrated. Do you guys remember the cover of Sports Illustrated? There are all these beautiful women, right? Anything else? What else you guys got? Temple going girl and serving others while I'm there. It's a big one, Sharon. It's a really big one. Yeah, I keep my head down, right? I can't connect eye to eye, right? I've got to look like that person to be valid. And if I don't have that body, I'm not valid, right? Got it? And it's okay for a man to do something bad, like say watch porn. And I'm not labeling as wrong. Don't take that the wrong way. But it's almost like the woman doing that, it's wrong. If a woman had an affair, do you know how society goes, that's not valid to the man, it's okay, whatever? Is this clicking? I want to make sure this is all clicking for you guys. Landing? Okay, good. Because I have to be valid, because if I'm a good wife, right? Subservient, there you go. That's what I'm looking for. You nailed it, Denise. We're nailed it. Anything else before we start healing this crap? All right, go and close your eyes. Pop into meditation. With your eyes closed, just begin to breathe. Take a long breath in and a slow breath out. Take a deep breath in and a fluid breath out. Just breathe. With your eyes closed, go back into that place of nature. And once you're back in that place of nature, invite in the Divine Mother. And just see her, feel her, perceive her. She is there. Just be with her right now. As you breathe. She is tall. She is majestic. And her presence envelopes the room. As you breathe. Now she has stepped forward with a golden platter. And she's asking you to put onto this golden platter all of this stuff. And others of your guides are standing behind you doing some energy work on your mid-back, because a lot of you hold all these thoughts there. So put on the golden platter. This idea of what you look like is what validates you. This idea that if you had babies, you're validated. This idea that you have to be nice. Put it all there. For a lot of you, it's in your mid-back. And just keep dumping it there. And she's yelling at you right now. She's yelling in a nice way. And she's saying to me, this is not who they are. She said it in a nicer way. There you go. Until they give up these falsities, they will not know their truth. So every little way that you were taught to be nice, or to be sweet, or to drop your head, or to get validation from society, put every single one of those thoughts on her platter as you breathe. For some of you, it's in your neck. For some of you, she's got her hand on her neck and she's pulling energy out of there. So you have a lot of tightness there. That's what she's doing right now. And others of you, it's right at your heart chakra, at your chest. You were never allowed to breathe just for you. So as you put these on the platter, keep going, guys, keep going. She's saying, let them keep going. Every thought that you don't look like Bo Derek. Every thought that you compared yourself to a model. Every time you compared yourself at a PTA meeting. Every time you put yourself down for your period, consciously or unconsciously. Every time you second guessed your thoughts. Every time you looked for them for approval, even consciously or subconsciously, you said something, you glanced over there going, oh, is that okay? Put it all there. Put it all. And just keep breathing. She's saying there's more. Keep letting them go, Diddy. Every time you denied your existence for who you were. Every time you were told to shine your face and put on makeup to look prettier. Every time you walked into a room and looked at a man and were hoping that they'd look at you. Every time you looked at a man to hope for validation that you were accepted or chosen or wanted. Give it all up, give it all up, give it all up. There you go. Every time you found safety from the approval in a masculine. It's a great one for some of you. And now just breathe. Now what she's done is she's placed her left hand on your third eye, which is just between your eyebrows up a little bit. And right now she's doing energy work on each of us. And she's sending you a visual or a picture or a cleansing where you begin to see that you're not any of that. For you to see, begin to know that there is truth. The only validation you need is from the I am consciousness of her truth. So allow her to stand in front of you. She may keep working on your third eye. And I want you to imagine that she is sending you a vibration, because she's doing it right now. You have to imagine it. Of who you are without those stories. Without the stories of having to smile. Without those stories of having to drop your head. Without those stories of looking for validation from society. Without those stories that you have to be emotionless. Let it enter. There you go. Let it enter, let it enter, let it enter. Keep breathing. And just hold it here. And stay here for about 10 breaths. There is a truth and a divinity that enters this room right now. That literally pervades each and every one of us. Let it enter. Let it enter. Let it enter. And breathe. Good work, guys. Keep breathing. Feel her. Be with her. Soft. After about 5 or 10 more breaths, notice how your physical body feels, your mental body feels, your emotional body feels. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to the bright room. How are you feeling? Type into the chat box. What happened? What did you notice? Anything at all? I noticed something. I was nothing. Some of you saw purple. Sure, that's about. What occurred for you? Maddie Lana wrote she saw a lot of blue. That's the throat chakra. I felt for some of you guys, your throat was like screaming open. So your throat chakra was screaming open. I love that. What else was happening for you guys? It's Madeline, that's what screaming your truth or speaking your truth. And Madeline, I think for a lot of you, there's a lot of anger there that wants to come out. And I'll come back to you in a second, Madeline. What else happened, guys, as you did that exercise? What did you notice? What's it like to hang out with her? It's kind of cool, isn't it? She's very cool. She's very, very cool. What else you guys got here? Denise wrote, I felt a pressure on my third eye. I saw purple and felt released. That was you. Somebody, they kept showing me somebody seeing a lot of purple. That, as you know, that's the upper chakras are like opening up here, right? Because I want to speak to that for a second before I come back to Jody's comment. What I need you to see, Denise, and for anybody, everybody, but not just Denise, is like that shit, that bullshit of the validation is stuck up here in these chakras. God, and as you clear it out, your clairvoyance and claircognizance is going to open even more, right? Because if we're perceiving ourselves as less than, looking for validation, it's like, let that shit go, right? Jody wrote, I see that I've been having these beliefs about validation all day, every day. Yeah. The God of validation is super wild to work with, because then you actually start to go, wow. And I think as women, we have God of validation thoughts different than men, right? I taught the God of validation exercise when I was in Mexico, and the men had different things. Theirs was more like, well, some of them it was body image for sure. Some of them it was, if they have a good looking woman, but a lot of it was their bank account, right? And if I can afford my kids, if I can afford a big house, right? So that's patriarchy too, right? So it's different. Sharon wrote, she was very emotional. Her neck and shoulders loosened up, which means that that's where you hold this shrunking stuff, Sharon, that like, I've got to get a validation. So that's like, oh, okay, when my neck tights, I'm like doing one of these. That's awesome that you see that. I wrote a lot of tension in the back and neck, shoulders, lacing. So same thing, Anna, that's where you hold your crap to, right? I'm not valid. Because if you think about it, a lot of women have osteoporosis up here. And, I get bones. I went to medical school. I understand it. But I truly believe a lot of the osteoporosis is because we're taught to shrink, right? It's like, you're not validated. So you have to go like this. You can't be emotional, like Madeline said, so I have to shrink. And eventually that's going to form osteo, like your bones are going to shrink. Frances said she saw a waterfall in her third eye, and she showed me the Statue of Liberty. Beautiful. So we're going to do another exercise in a second, but I really want, so guys, after doing this, when you listen to the replays from yesterday, we did 2 other exercises. What's going to happen is the next few days, you're really going to be keenly aware of what you were taught, because it's all unconscious. Let me ask you a question before I teach one more exercise. And when I use the word God, I'm referring to love, the divine, the universe, spirit, whatever word you want to use. Do you think God gives a shit if you're a size 2? Do you think God gives a shit if you have an emotional meltdown in the mall? Do you think God gives a shit if you're smiling and the person doesn't smile back? I'm laughing at us. I'm bringing humor here. We're taught bullshit that's different for women than men from the time we're born. Okay. And when you listen to yesterday's call about what we're taught just to be a woman, you'll see how the God of validation goes hand in hand with that exercise. Okay. Because the reason we're looking for this validation is because we were taught that there was something wrong as being a woman, period. Does that make sense? But like I said, I didn't get a chance to teach this yesterday, so I want to teach something different today. And I wrote, I want to do my tapping practice to help relieve the tension. Yeah, go for it. Go ahead and do the tapping. And as you're doing it, and I actually want you to see There's two things I want you to do, hon. Right here in your neck, so right at the base of your spine here, right there, the crook there. I want you to imagine a hole. And for a lot of people, if you imagine that hole and let energy leave, there you go, there you go, there you go. And I want you to see the Divine Mother putting her third eye or her hand on her third eye and letting love enter. So what's going to leave your neck and tension on as you do the tapping is all of that BS of a validation will leave. But when energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when you remove the energy, you have to let in love. You have to let in truth. You have to let in power. Okay, you have to let in wisdom. Any comments, questions before we go to the next exercise? I do that when I have a headache. Yeah, it really works, doesn't it, Denise? It's like release it and then let truth in. All right, let's do one more exercise. I think I've got enough time. Then I'll put it for Q&A. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint, see where I'm at. I don't remember what's on my PowerPoint. There it is. Okay, cool. Let's go back here and see what I've got left. So, got a validation. I don't think there was anything after that. Let me just go back. Give me just 20 seconds, guys. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna have to wing it without it, and I'll go back to the PowerPoint later. All right. Yeah, they're saying go there. Let's talk about people pleasing. Okay. They're asking that first. What species is more of a people pleaser, women or men? What do you guys think? Who people pleases more? Women? Yeah, thank you, Matt. That was an obvious question. And why do we people please? Because we're looking for approval. Right. So I want you to write in the chat box things you do every day as part of people pleasing, consciously or unconsciously. I'm going to start talking. I work really hard to make sure I get approval. I smile at strangers. I can't walk by somebody I don't know without at least making eye contact. I apologize a lot. Holy often. That's really good. That's really, really, really good. Because heaven forbid, right? So I got to just say sorry all the time. That's really good. Jody, I contact some people every day to make sure they're okay. Wow. And sorry for asking this question, Jody, just made a play with, do you actually care? I'm not saying you don't care, but is it something you would do if you weren't people pleasing? I've learned Madeline, I've learned to not always speak my truth. And that's why the blue chakra was coming through. I say sorry a lot, right, Sharon, and I overwork at work, right? So people pleasing is something that women commonly do. Men do it in a different way, but you're seeing that we've trained ourselves to look for approval. And then we do things like say sorry a lot, not speak our truth to make sure that they're pleased. And we people please because we are trained that if they're not approving of us, then there must be something wrong with us. Do you see how it's in our subconscious? If that person is not approving of me, then I don't count. I'm not valid. My place on the earth doesn't matter. Got it? And it's really deep. Francis writes, I overthink people. And Denise writes, I agree to do something when I don't want to. Wow. Wow. I agree to do something when I don't want to. Oh, I totally get it. I totally get it. My son, and I'm getting better at this, Denise. My son called me earlier. He's moving out of dorm today. He comes home late tonight. My husband went over a few weeks ago, which when Madeline keeps helping me with the workshop, because my husband went over to help him move the majority of his stuff out. And today, all he has to do is put his bedding into his car. I don't actually know because I'm not there. But my husband moved all the big crap out and put his storage. And he had some exams, so had his room still open. And he called me about 2 hours ago before the class started and said, hey, Mom, we might get a bill. What are we getting a bill for? They bill us if we leave a room messy. Well, then you're going to work at DoorDash until you pay that back, right? But before I wouldn't have said that, Denise. I would have been exactly what you did. I agree to do something that I don't want to do. I'm like, dude, you're not coming home to the 7 o'clock ferry. You've got time. I know you're hungover, but that's not my fault. You're hungover. You clean your room. And if your room isn't clean and I get charged, you're working for that. Because now he can work, right? Now he's old enough, right? But in the past, I would have done something that I didn't want to. Got it? But it's only when I realized, oh, wait, that's because I deeply think there's something wrong with me. But you've got time, dude. And I think as mothers and parents, we do it all the time. because we're looking for them for approval. I mean, I taught this last night in that workshop uptown. Why do you think, and I want you to, and if you don't have kids, don't worry about it. I want you to tune into people you know that have kids. I want you to hit the rewind button in your psyche, guys, because some of us are older. Hit the rewind button in psyche. And if you don't have kids, think of women who have kids for a minute. Hit the rewind button in your psyche when you had kids at 20 years old, 30 years old, whatever. Rewind button. Do you remember looking for your kids for approval? Type into the chat box, yes or no. Yes, I'm looking for some yeses. Making chocolate chip cookies when you didn't want to, driving to the places when you didn't want to, staying up late when you didn't want to. So I got lots of yeses. Now I want you to pause. Hit the rewind button. You're 25, 30 years old. Why did you do it? Why were you looking for your kids' approval? Go deep into your psyche. Why? Go into your psyche. Why? Why do mothers look for their kids' approval more than fathers? Come on, what's coming up for you guys? Why? Why do we do it? To feel like I'm a good mother. Bang on, Jody. You hit it right on the head, nail right on the head. Because we're taught as women, if we have kids, we have to be a good mother. Now, dads have it, but in a different way. But as women, it's the caregiving, it's taking care of, it's I have to do it because, like Francis just said, because then I feel safe. And because our biological clock makes us have kids usually at 20 or 30 years old, most of us haven't done self-development to realize we don't love ourselves, correct? Is that fair to say? So we don't realize we don't love ourselves as much as we realize. Then a baby comes into the world, this baby loves us to death, so we get addicted to that love. Can anyone relate to that? And then we keep looking for it, keep looking for it, and it becomes this nasty loop. Does that make sense to your brain? And then they grow up and we go cuckoo. I'm going to read Madeline's and then we go back to Ina's. Madeline wrote to feel worthy and feel needed and important. Exactly. She channeled her mother. Bang on. Because then I am worthy and then I am needed and then I'm important because fuck, none of that shit matters until I have a kid and the kid loves me. See how bullshit this is? Do you see why I'm doing this with women? Because our story is so different than men. And it is paining us because God knows if I had a daughter, it's the last thing I want her to think is that she matters because she's a good mother. She matters because she's my beautiful daughter. That's the reason she matters. But because so few of our mothers taught us that, that's why we go looking for. So if we can break the cycle, then our girls and our granddaughters, they don't have to suffer like we did. Angie wrote, because we are wanting to be like them, by them to be a good mom. You nailed it. Because we've been taught to look for approval since we were little. I want to go back to Ina's comment. I try to accommodate every interaction and attention and cheerfulness when my husband initiates, even in my quiet times, especially when I'm meditating. So busy accommodating. Angie wrote, and it hasn't changed even through the middle aged. Exactly. So guys, let us give this up. Let us give this up. So go and close your eyes. With your eyes closed, invite in the Divine Mother, and invite in Kali, and invite in Durga. Kali is the goddess who is of anger, who's like, this is not who you are. Your definition of who you are is not this. Durga is going to help you bring the consciousness, the presence, the awareness. The Divine Mother standing right behind you. Her hand is on your mid-back. And she is teaching you right now that your worth, your neediness, your importance is not derived from your children, no matter how children. It's right between your scapula, your shoulder blades for most of you, whether you have kids or not. There you go. Your worthiness has nothing to do with anything that you do. So there you go. There, it's right in the mid shoulder blades. I'm going to say it again. Your worthiness has nothing to do with anything you do. Let that truth enter. So what she's actually telling me she's doing, she's pulling the energies of the ropes out of your mid-back that says your worthiness is something else. And she's putting love and truth and worth right back into place. Because she's removing the bullshit stories that you're worthy to make good chocolate chip cookies. And she's putting your worthiness because you've come into the human body as a female, as a soul, who is here because you are. And let that enter. Good work, guys. Really good work. Take 10 more breaths here. I am worthy because I am. I am enough because I am. I am important because I am. Just breathe into that. Take about 6 more breaths. You might notice your shoulder blades drop, your heart chakra opens, and you might notice almost a sense of peace entering you. Now for a few more breaths when you're ready, no rush at all. Stay here a little bit longer. Let her keep working. Know that your worth has nothing to do with anything you do. Your worth is innate to your soul. Your worth is innate to your being. There you go. There you go. Good work. Keep breathing. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, come back. Okay, I'm going to say a couple more things before I open up to Q&A and coaching. Again, I said earlier when I was teaching at a certain point, there's 3 or 4 things they want me to say. That initial quote from A Course in Miracles, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, therein lies the peace of God. Now I want to go back into that worthiness piece. You are a child of God. I am as God created me. And I just want you to say that in your head 7 times. I am as God created me. There you go, there you go, there you go. Good, Sharon. I am as God created me. Love created me like itself. Strength created me as itself. Love created me as itself. And keep your eyes closed and keep breathing those statements in. I am as God created me. And I want you to start to perceive, sense, or know that your worth is this. And just stay here. Love created me as is. I am infinitely wise, infinitely strong, and infinitely beautiful, and 100% of worth at my conception. After a few more breaths, gently open your eyes. Open your eyes and coming back to the bright room. At your conception, as the divine entity of Christ consciousness, God, spirit, whatever you call it, your worth was formed. Period. When you came to the physical body and they discovered you had a vagina, immediately there was something wrong with you. And in that second, that unworthiness took right off into people pleasing, to looking for validation. And then you became a mother who didn't feel worthy and felt like she needed, and she needed to feel important. So you overgave. But your worth is never any of that. Your worth is that love created you like itself. That's who you've always been. When you do these bullshit things that we all do, like paying for my son's dorm because he's too lazy to get the garbage out, that's not holding the truth of what we are. So I'm curious, any comments, questions? How was that exercise that we just took you through? How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? Feel free to talk out loud or just type in the chat box and we'll open for coaching and Q&A at the end. I'll tell you my offerings as well in a minute. I forgot about that. Oh, it was powerful. Awesome, Jolie. That's so great. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. I'm going to tell you my offerings before I open to coaching because that's what I did yesterday. Because I will forget to do that. Any other comments how that was or how you guys doing? We're good? Okay, let me just jump into my offerings and then I will open to questions, Q&A, and coaching. So let's go back here because my brain is completely not functioning. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint because I had to have it written down. It makes it a lot easier for me. Okay, we did the God of validation. We did that. Give it a second and see if this, there we go. So 2 options moving forward. One option is I'm going to close, stop share. Okay, so 2 options working with me in the Women Healing Women container. So that's, she does 3, but bear with me. It's in person or online. Okay, so I'm going to describe in person first. And my in-person workshops I'm doing for men as well. Sharon was at a recent one, and so was Madeline. You can talk to them. But when men are there, I can hit all these pieces. Okay, and we go into a deeper healing because men are there. But in the online course, I'm only doing women, just so you guys know. But for my in-person, I've got a half-day event May 5th, and I've got a full-day event May 25th. They're on my website. I'll send you follow-up links for that too. And then I've got a 4-day retreat coming up June 28th to July 2nd. It's not on my website yet, but it'll be up there by the end of the weekend, and I'll send it to you guys. Okay. That's really good. I like that on. So that's the in-person stuff. Online, I've got a class called Women Healing Women that I'm going to describe to you right now. Okay. And coming up the pipeline, I'm going to describe something else in just 2 seconds. So bear with me. Let me go to my Women Healing Women program that starts in May. Here it is. So this is the end of the webinar series. And then if you've been listening to my podcast, I've got Women Healing Women podcast going on. But I just did the last one today. It was called Forgiveness. But moving forward, I'm moving just back into ease into clarity. But if you want to get more free webinars on Women Healing Women, join the Bronze program. And I'll be also sending you guys processes and techniques specifically for the Bronze people. But if you want to join that, it's completely free. Just go to my website and register. You can do that. Then that's the next option. Just see if I can hit the next button. 1 second, guys. My computer's just not changing screens. 1 second. Oh, there we go. Then I've got the Silver program. So I've got an 8-week class starting May 7th. And there's a whole bunch of videos that go hand in hand with it. If you want to just get the videos and not do any live classes, there's a Silver membership for that. You get eight weeks of modules, which go everything from guilt to shame to anger to connecting with the goddess energy. So there's 8 weeks of that. And if you don't want any live classes, that's the Silver. And then there's 2 other memberships. There's the Gold membership, and that includes the recorded videos plus live classes. And the live classes are going to be happening on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. or Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. And they're exactly like this. They're 1.5 hours long. So they're 8 hours, and each class is going to be different. And like this, I do 8 classes, then I do Q&A and coaching. And then if you want optional partner work, you don't have to do that. But if you've noticed, your answers that you guys typed in blew me away. I'm like, oh, I never would have thought that. Because partner work is very, very powerful in containers like this because it helps you to dig deeper into your unconscious that you can't see. And then I just added this other program. And if you've already joined the Gold but want to do the other membership, which I can't find, it's called the Diamond. Okay. It might have been Platinum. I can't remember what I called it on my website. So I apologize. I just added this. If you join the Gold but want to do this instead, just send me an email. I'll put in the follow-up email. I apologize. I just put this up because I got asked for it. This is exactly the same as the Gold. It is the 8 live classes, the pre-recorded videos, the Q&A and coaching, the group work, but then also people have asked me if I would do one-to-one readings with them. So because I've closed my one-to-one business, I'm offering 4 half-hour sessions during the 8 weeks. Okay. So that's called the Diamond program. And I know some people have already joined the Gold. If you have, you want to upgrade, just let me know. Okay. But those are my options. And then lastly, I'm starting a coaching program for the Women Healing Women, but that's going to include men too. And that doesn't start until when? September. But I will let you guys know about that. But that's going to include men, and they'll have a different title. I don't know what the title is. But that's all on this material. It's all on healing the unconscious and subconscious crap that we started digging up. That makes sense. Now let's open to questions, coaching, and that program is likely going to be 6 months, but I will let you know more as it comes forward. Can you put the God validation slide back up? Sure. Oh, sure. I've got a validation slide. Sure. Give me just 20 seconds. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second, Jody. Let me set that up. Okay, cool. Any questions, comments, anything coming up for anybody as I pull the God validation slide up? Comments, coaching, anything anyone wants some help with? Let's see here. 1 sec. I don't remember what was on the God validation. We're going to see if I can find it. No, can't do it that way. 1 second, Jody. I'm a little slow.
Yeah, it's not that important.
Okay.
I'm just, yeah, don't worry about it.
Are you sure? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, let me just scroll to it. And I can tell you what's on that screen. I think I don't think I even have that much on that. I called it God of Validation. Then it says idols. Here, I might be able to share it now. Like I said, I'm not techie enough to do this stuff. I need Tech Master to do this. Is this it? Let's see. There it is. Idols. And of course, Miracles, it says, do not worship false idols.
Right.
The true God to worship is the God of love. So we have different gods, and one is the God of validation. And the question was, how does it show up in your life? So pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have other gods like the God of depression, the God of anxiety, the God of lack, right? All those are gods that we can worship, right? So specifically, I chose the God of validation today and just how it shows up in your psyche. Cool. Can you touch on mother wound real quick? Oh, real quick. Haha. I can't touch on it real quick, Francis. I can't. I swear to God, I can't. It's way too deep. There's a whole, at least 1 week in the 8-week class, at least 1 week on the mother wound. Okay. Yeah, they're telling me I can't, because the mother wound is essentially, we've all been raised by mothers, even though we all love our mothers, who had all of these wounds. Okay. So until we heal these pieces in us, I can't touch the mother wound. It's like 10-foot pull away. Okay. So if you want to dive into that, join the 8-week class, because it's different than anything I've taught before. Like if you've come to any of my live events since January, they're different than anything I've taught before, because they're having me go a lot deeper into the feminine history. Some of you guys took ICT. This stuff is totally different. It's like, oh my God, why are they having me teach? But the mother wound, the reason we have the mother wound so deep is because our mothers didn't have a relationship with any of these pieces. So until we heal these pieces, our mother wound can't heal. And so all I can tell you is join the Women Healing Women class, the 8-week class, because I won't be able to even hit it in a weekend workshop. I would be able to hit it in a 4-day retreat. I can't do it there. I need longer than real quick, and I need longer than even a few weeks. I would need like the full 8 weeks or a 4-day. I can't even do it in 1 day, they're telling me, because it's such a deep topic. Okay, so that helps, Francis. Madeline, why do sometimes I feel like I'm fully able to step into my power, my truth, my innate worthiness, and some days I feel like I've forgotten all of that and I'm filled with fear? Why is it so hard to consistently let go of my fears? Is it just practice? You don't have a relationship, Madeline. I love you. And please unmute yourself. Because I'm going to hammer you right now.
Hi. Okay.
Ready to get hammered? And I love you. Love you. Start up, straight up.
Okay.
You make your fears wrong. Are you with me still?
Yeah, say it again.
You make your fears wrong.
I make my fears
wrong.
Okay, so like, I'm saying that that's a bad thing.
Yeah. So
even today when all my fears came back today, and I was like, I just was sitting there trying to watch and be like, this is interesting. And I'm watching and I'm trying to just be the observer, but sometimes it just takes over.
Okay, so let's do this together. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, what do the fears say?
That I'm not doing good enough, that I don't have enough money, that I'm, not where I should be in life, and that I'm just not good enough.
Okay, so slow down. You're doing great. I'm not good enough. You're not doing enough in your life. Now, to stay in your body, when you're not in that fear, your regular life, when you are working, just really get present. I don't want you to think. I want you to get the answer intuitively. When you're not in the fear, how much is that fear still running you to make sure you're doing enough?
It probably still is there. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I see. They said 78% of her runs her and gets her going. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So just stay in your body. Go deep inside. Scan your subconscious, scan your childhood. I'm going to tell you the age I'm getting in a second. Mm-hmm. What age were you taught? How old are you when you look at this fear? Stay in your body.
Elementary school, like young.
Yeah. What grade or how old?
Like grade 4.
I got 8 to 10. So we're at the same time period. Beautiful. Yeah. So tell me what you're seeing.
Well, I was never beautiful enough. I was never cool enough. I was never feminine enough.
You just sit with that for a second. There's nothing to fix here. Just sit with it. Stay in your body. And because it hurts so much, you run so hard to prove that that's not true. And so you're, yeah, and you're trying to create your company, but with that fear, so that fear goes away. And it's a double-edged, Maddie, because it's not it's not that you're not willing to sit with that fear, but the fear is so overwhelming, like you're experiencing right now, and you're so afraid to sit with it because you're afraid to go into that deep sadness and depression that you think is like a shark that's going to eat you, but it's not, because you're on a call and you're alive and you're breathing, and it's sad, and I get it, but it's part of you. Are you with me still?
Yeah.
So imagine I'm sitting next to you and holding your hand. Okay. And we're not going to fix that 8-year-old. We're just going to be with her. Can you do that with me? Don't fix it. Just be with it. There you go. There you go. There you go. What do you feel? What do you experience? What do you see? What do you know?
I just see a beautiful young girl. It shouldn't fear anything.
Say the last part.
I just see a beautiful young girl that shouldn't fear anything.
Hey, let's take that shouldn't fear anything, throw it out. Please throw it in the garbage. Because you're trying to fix something that's broken.
Okay.
It's right here, sister. It's right here.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. So I want you to sit with her and just stay with her like you're doing so beautifully. Don't try to change it. That's the hard part. And we can all relate to this, Madeline. There you go. She's also in your right hip, in your lower back or something. I can feel her there too. And in your neck. Don't try to make her wrong. Don't try to change her. Don't try to do anything. Just sit with her and tell me what you're experiencing.
It's okay.
And I don't want you to think too much or run and do anything. I just want you to stay with her. I'm still holding your hand. There you go. She is a child of God as well. She is as God created as well. All that happened is she forgot she was loved. That's it. That's it. She was pinched off for love for a second. That's it. Now I need you to put your wings on for me.
Yeah.
And I need you to not make her wrong. And just be with her right now. And what are you experiencing in your physical body? And your
Free.
mental body?
I feel free.
Yeah.
I feel no fear. I feel just pure energy.
I want to come over and give you a high five. So stay, keep your eyes closed. I want you to keep working with you, okay? Because what they're telling me, Madeline, is that 80% of your working day is actually running from her or her yelling at you or you trying to fix something, which is why you run like a crazy woman.
Yeah.
Hamster wheel. And Madeline, I know this because I've got her too.
Yeah.
For a different story.
Yeah.
Got it? But what I've discovered is if I can just be with her pain and not try to fix it, then I can approach my work and my business from a different energy.
Right.
And then God can come through and say, I am as love created me. And all that happens for 1 second when you're 8 years old. 1 second, the millennia of life that Madeline is going to be alive on the soul plane. She pinched off from love. And that's all that happened. Just like a little pinch.
Yeah.
And you're trying to fix it. You're trying to make it better. And there's nothing to do. How does that feel right now?
That's good. Just to look at it, right? And just be okay with it. And not try to put it anywhere or say it's bad, but just be like, okay, it's there, but not necessarily allow it to take over and operate from there, right?
Exactly. And just to be, and if you don't think I get scared, if you don't think I overwork, I'm exactly like you. Are you with me? see how much calmer you are just in 4 minutes? Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in your shoulder blades and your chest. But what happens is you spur into, I gotta do something, I gotta do something, I gotta do something. And really, what's really required is to be with her, go for a walk in the woods and not make it long.
Yeah.
You're showing me nature and trees.
Yeah.
Because you and I, and we both grew up in a time where it's like, what, and I think we both have approached many self-development class by what do I need to do?
Yeah.
But that doing keeps God out.
Yeah.
Because you just got that because you are God's son, child.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Yeah, that helps.
thank you for asking. It's a beautiful question. There are comments or questions, anything coming up for you guys? Anything being stirred? Yeah, Jody.
I was recently had the opportunities to spend a couple of weeks with my daughter.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and we went to Aruba. It was very nice. And she shared with me that she just said, like, kind of out of the blue, Mom, you know how when I was little, you were always dieting? And
You
I said,
always
dieting.
dieting. Okay, got it.
Dieting. And she said, that's had a negative impact on me. And I was surprised by it, like there was no context for it. And so what I realized I've been doing with the last share with that you've been facilitating is that what I'm doing now is, okay, well, I need to contact my daughter and share this about God of validation, and that my role in that and how that was transmitted. But is that is that a good action for me to take, or is it verging on people pleasing, or like what does that look like?
So I'm going to say a few things, and I hope this helps, Jody, and I hope this helps every mother on the call. Okay, let me ask you a question before I jump into it. Do you believe that your daughter was almost blaming you?
Yeah, it felt like blame.
Yeah, okay, cool. And one thing I was teaching this in the work, because the last night's workshop, there were 20 people, dads, mothers, and kids. So they're 20-year-olds, 21, 26-year-olds in the room, and a whole bunch of just friends. So it's a bit, I didn't know any of this when I walked in. I didn't know who was here. I knew the person who organized the event. That's all I knew. Okay. I didn't really know her that well either. So what I said in that room, and there was actually three or four generations in that room too. There was a grandmother, I can't remember, a great grandmother, I can't remember, like actually fit in the physical body. And I said, and I hope this helps, Jody, blame is necessary to a certain point until you realize you have to take responsibility for that thought process.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as mothers, if we take all the blame for the way that the child was impacted, we'll be here. And I think that's the whole guilt thing that you'll listen to yesterday's call about. It's like we're eating like 10 hamburgers and getting sick. The biggest thing we can teach our kids is, yeah, we fucked up. Welcome to being human. Welcome to trying to be a mother. But you got to sort out in your own head what came in. But it's not, and I'm sorry that you picked that up about dieting, kid. I am. But I also grew up with Richard Simmons. I grew up with, right? Do you remember him? I grew up with Bo Derek on Sports Illustrated, right? That's what I was taught. You guys have the internet and you don't have as much body shaming as we did, or maybe you have body shaming in a different way. But there was no fat friendliness when I was growing up. Correct? No. Right. They got the measuring tape out and said you're overweight. So honey, I love you that I taught you dieting, but we grew up at different times.
Yeah.
And I am sorry you had that impact, but that wasn't my intention. But my job is not to fix what you're finding out. So to answer your question, you can, if you feel intuitively guided, but make sure it's not from trying to fix anything because you didn't do anything wrong. It's not from guilt.
Right.
Because our job, and I jokingly said this in yesterday's workshop, our job is to screw up our kids so that they have their traumas to sort out.
Yeah.
I often say that I have so many clients on the west side of Vancouver that bubble wrap their kids. And I see them as 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, and it's like, oh God, this is gonna be a lot of work. Because they've been bubble wrapped, from life. And it's more work in some ways, right? Now, is that tracking at all?
Yeah, It did. She also recently sent in a whistleblower submission about a very toxic male person at her
Okay.
on the ship she was on,
Right,
and she was removed from the ship.
right. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And so, but it was because she said, there's a line, I've drawn a line in the sand. This isn't okay with me. And
Right.
so that's what she presented. And so the male that was the problem, that was having these behaviors,
Right.
stayed on the ship. And my
Right.
daughter was, so that is just reinforcing the patriarchal dimension that we all
Totally.
have to struggle in.
And there's nothing we have to do about it. It's just, you know, when she's ready, she can sort through it. And you can tell her about the God of validation if you want,
Yeah.
but that's up to you.
Yeah.
But
That's
make
why
sure
I
you're not-
wanted this slide. Just so
Making
that
sure you're not doing it from a guilt perspective that you did something wrong. And maybe
Yeah.
hurting her, you know, look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Thanks,
yeah.
Divvy. That's really helpful.
Other comments, questions, coaching? Amazing. I'll follow up with an email with yesterday's recording of this and hopefully see some of you guys in our 8-week class or in an in-person thing. So I'm sending you guys lots of love. That was super fun. So have fun digging into all the validation crap. You're so welcome, Denise.
Thank you so
Sending you guys
much.
lots of love.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.